The content of this video is not medical advice or a substitute for physical therapy. Please consult your physician or physical therapist before starting any exercise program.
Today's tip is all about helping you safely and effectively stretch out those tight hamstrings. Now, you may be experiencing tight hamstrings for a variety of reasons, one of which could be that you have to sit at your desk to work most of the day, and sitting with your knees bent at 90 degrees most of the day can positionally shorten your hamstrings. Another reason could be that you have a history of low back pain. And we know that folks that have a history of low back pain experience not just shortness along the hamstrings, but also along the lower back and the calves as well. So in today's tip, we're going to address the hamstring and the calf tightness all in one video in just 3 stretches. So to get started, you're going to need a strap that is ideally not elastic. So think like a dog leash, a yoga strap, or even the sash from a robe. You will need a book that's about 3 to 4 inches thick, or you can use a short yoga block if you've got one of those lying around, and you're gonna need a chair. So gather all your things and let's get started on the first stretch. So for the first one, we're gonna go to the floor. I'm gonna ask you to wrap your strap around the instep of 1 foot and just straighten that leg, and you're gonna lie back onto your back. You're gonna have your strap, either end of the strap, one in each hand, and then you're just gonna stretch both legs out long in front of you. So as you've got your legs stretched out here, just make sure your pelvis is level, both cheeks are firmly on the surface, and you feel like your back is rather neutral, meaning you're not rounded or smashed down into the floor, and you're also not arched way up off the floor. Now you're going to keep your knee straight and use your strap to start to bring your leg up towards your head. So knee stays straight, and really important here, this cheek stays down on the floor because we don't want you to rock your pelvis up towards your head. That would start bringing your back into the stretch. We want to really just hinge at the hip here, go right up until you feel a little stretch in the back of the thigh, and then back off. So we're looking for mild to moderate stretch, and hold it for just a moment and then back off. So this is an on-off stretch. We find this to be much more effective than holding a position for 30 seconds like we've done in the old days, because this really helps the muscle to lengthen and elongate without fighting the stretch. So make sure you're not experiencing any pain or strain as you're going into and out of this position. Knee stays straight, and the cheek on this side of the hip stays down on the surface. So you can see that as you go through this 8 to 10 times, you're probably going to get a little bit more range of motion with each repetition. So make sure you practice 8 to 10 on-off reps on each side. Now, before we go to my second stretch, I just want to remind you, if you find this content helpful, please click like, click subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and do please share this with friends and family that you think could benefit from the information. All right, our second stretch, we're going to need the chair. So I'm going to ask you to grab your chair, and you're going to sit kind of at the edge of that chair. Sit nice and tall. You're going to take the stretching leg out straight. Make sure the knee is straight. I've got the heel on the floor here. And then this is real important. You're sitting really tall, and you're simply going to hinge forward from the hip. So make sure you avoid rounding down. Again, that is getting your back involved, and you're kind of escaping the hamstring stretch. So sit really tall and just hinge forward at the hip. So feel that stretch down the back of the thigh, maybe down the back of the knee a little bit, and then come back up. So into the stretch for a moment, and then back out again. So again, we're looking for a mild to moderate stretch, keeping the knee straight and keeping the back straight. Just like the strap stretch on the floor, you're going to practice this 8 to 10 times per side. And again, like the strap stretch on the floor, you should feel like with each rep, you make a little bit more headway. Now, for my third stretch, we're going to bring the calf in even more. So this is where you need your book or your short yoga block. And I'm going to ask you to put the ball of your foot up onto that block or book, and you're going to stand up really tall, once again straightening the knee, and you can either push yourself forward with your non-stretching leg, or if you've got the range, you can actually step forward with your non-stretching leg, and you'll feel that big stretch down the back of the calf, because as we talked about earlier, a lot of times if your hamstrings are tight, so are your calves. So stretching your hamstrings is always helpful to add a little calf stretch as well. All right, you're going to do this stretch on off 8 to 10 times on each side as well. And after that, you should feel like the backs of your legs are much more flexible. That's all I've got for you this week. I hope you found that helpful. Until next time, keep moving and be well.